Hi, this is Rod Evans, and what I want to talk to you about today is how to study effectively. First thing, you need to schedule studying into your calendar. For example, write down on a calendar or day planner, study for the MAT, Miller Analogies test, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. in a carrel at the university library. Now note, many students study more effectively when they don't have distractions at home, including television and/or roommates. If you do, however, study at home, you need to treat your study time as sacred. Remove distractions, cut off your cell phone, and resolve to avoid TV or any other distraction during your study time. If you aren't able to study where you'll be taking a test, you may profit from studying at several different locations, provided that you aren't bombarded by distracting stimuli. Some students, however, feel most at ease at home. When to study? Well, for most people, the earlier in the day they study, the better. Studying early in the day before people can become tired helps many students. Next, how to study. For most people, studying in isolation to avoid distractions is helpful. Nonetheless, if you want to study in a group, each member of the group should take turns quizzing others and explaining the material to them. How long to study? For most people, no more than 2 hours at a time, with breaks of 2 to 5 minutes every 20 to 30 minutes, in which they get up and move around, sip water, and look at least 20 feet into the distance. What is the number one way to master or learn something? To imprint a concept, first review it, and then try to explain it, unaided, in your own words. How do you know whether you have mastered a concept or information? Well, can you paraphrase what you've learned in coherent sentences? Can you explain it to others who have little or no previous knowledge about it? Can you recall an answer as when you use flashcards? What is a major obstacle to successful learning? The illusion that people have mastered material that they have simply read and reread without recall or application. Again, mastery requires the ability to apply the material and to recall it without looking at it. At a minimum, mastering factual material requires that you be able to recall it easily. For example, you should be able to answer your digital or physical flashcards easily even after you have shuffled them. To summarize, the worst thing to do when studying is simply to read and reread material without trying to apply and recall it. Passively reading and rereading material while sitting for hours without regular breaks is a poor way to learn, yet it is probably the most popular strategy of students. You, however, now know better. Distributed or spaced practice versus mass practice. Your brain learns information better when your study sessions are spaced or distributed over time than when they are crammed in 1 or 2 sessions. Distributing the sessions is particularly important for long-term memory. Distributed learning. If you have a choice to water your lawn for 30 minutes 3 times a week or 1.5 hours once a week, you should choose 30 minutes 3 times a week, especially when there's little rain. If you wanted to get in good shape through physical exercise and you had a total of 7 hours per week, you'd become fitter if you exercised every day for an hour than if you exercised 1 day a week for 7 hours. Basic idea. If you have 3 hours to study, you'd be better off breaking them into 3 1-hour chunks spread over a few days than 1 3-hour chunk in 1 day. Regularly reviewing and recalling information over time will improve your learning and will be much better than cramming, especially for retaining material beyond the test and becoming a well-educated person. In this course, we want you to be able to score well on the Miller Analogies test, but we also want you to improve your habits of lifetime learning. Let me now quote from the excellent book, Make It Stick: The Science of Successful Learning by Peter Brown and others. To be most effective, retrieval must be repeated again and again in spaced out sessions so that recall, rather than becoming a mindless recitation, requires some cognitive effort. Repeated recall appears to help consolidate into a cohesive representation in the mind and to strengthen and multiply the neural roots by which the knowledge can be later retrieved. Can you teach it? That is, the material that you've learned. You can consolidate your learning by retrieving information through recall, as from flashcards, or by teaching it to others. When you teach someone some information, it is as if you are powerfully restudying it because you must actively recall and apply the material. By teaching recently learned material, you are giving the material meaning by expressing it in your own words and connecting it with what you already know. The more you can explain about the way your new learning relates to your prior knowledge, the stronger your grasp of the new material will be, and the more connections you create that will help you remember it later. By explaining newly studied material to others, you can improve your understanding of the material and consolidate it in your own mind. Ironically, the process of teaching something is often what helps us understand it. Sleeping plus naps. Learning with your eyes closed. Suppose you study in the morning for an evening test. You'll probably do better on that test if you had an hour-long nap than if you didn't. In fact, researchers have said that with naps 1 hour to 1.5 hours, people can get close to the same benefits in learning consolidation that they could from a full 8-hour night's sleep. You've heard that you can profit from studying right before sleep. That is absolutely true. But you can also profit from studying and then napping for 1 to 1.5 hours afterward. After the nap and shortly before a test, you do well to get some exercise, walking, jumping jacks, or other cardio, and consume brain-friendly food or nutrients, about which we'll have more to say in the next lecture.